What is going on, riders? Cody from Motorcycle MD, and I'm bringing you guys a video today on how to change the coolant in a VT1100. It's not this bike specifically, but I took a video a long time ago and I'm bringing it back from the archive to give you guys some information on doing coolant changes, what to look for, what to use, also some different variations of what you might see. A lot of the V-twin Hondas are pretty much the same way. The big difference is just where you fill at, which is that radiator cap. Okay, so but where you drain it at the water pump is pretty much in the same location on a lot of different Hondas. On some of the 80s bikes, you might have a couple of different places where you can drain the coolant from. That's why it's always best just to have a factory service manual at hand, and it will give you all the information that you need to find out where to drain, how much, and how little, and information like that. Now, before we begin, I wanted to give you guys a quick tip on coolant. Now, 3 years ago, Honda switched from a green coolant to a blue coolant. Type 2 HP Pro Honda coolant. Now, I don't care what you use for your bike, it's your bike. I will always use Honda products in my stuff, but if you're gonna stray away from the Honda stuff, whether it be elephant urine or whatever the internet tells you to use nowadays, make sure that it is ethylene glycol based lubricant, okay? Some of the older stuff might be using some kind of silicone inhibitor, corrosive, whatever they call it. That will actually do damage to your cooling system, okay, as far as the seals go, water pump bearings and stuff like that. So, HP coolant, make sure that it is ethylene glycol based lubricant. Okay, that's what your motorcycle needs as far as the Honda motorcycles go. Obviously, as you run the bike, it will begin to get warm, so please be careful about how hot the bike is. Make sure that you are doing it on a cold bike when you're doing this kind of service, just like on a car. They got warning signs all over the car to tell you not to get third-degree burns on your face when removing the cap. So again, safety applies to this as well, guys. Please use common sense when it comes to doing this type of service. So I won't waste any more of your time. This video was shot actually a while back, and I had to make a new intro for it because it sucked. So I hope you enjoy the video. I hope it brings you the value that you need to get the coolant flushed on your bike. Again, it's very, very similar to a lot of different bikes. It takes a little bit of poking around as far as where the radiator cap goes, where you fill it in, but the technique and fundamentals are all there for you guys to see. So enjoy the video. You may see two different bolts here, one maybe right here, one maybe right here. It's usually the one that has the gasket behind it. So just look at the bolts. Some of the bolts are actually what's sealing the water pump together, but it may look as though it's sealing it, but really that's where it drains at. GL1800 is located on a different spout up underneath the front cowl. So just look at the bolts, see which ones have a sealing washer behind them, and more than likely that's where you drain it at. For this one, it's this right here. It's a VT1100, it's a 01 I believe. It's right here, okay? The radiator cap is located behind this cover here. So you have to remove the seat, you have to remove the tank, and you have to remove this cover here. It's just locating that radiator cap is what's gonna be the most difficult part, or the longest portion. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove those parts. Again, it's just the seat, it's just the tank, and we're gonna get to these covers, all right? All right, so now that I've gained access to my radiator cap, we're gonna start at the water pump, okay? I'm gonna show you guys why. It's because if you remove the radiator cap before you start draining it out here, it's gonna go all over the place, all right? So just start here. We're gonna remove this 6mm bolt with a 10mm wrench. I got my pan ready. It's gonna already start dripping, but it's not gonna flow out like crazy. All right, so that bolt's been removed. Here is that washer that you will need to replace. They're one-time use. They're made of copper probably. They're really soft metal. All right, so as you can see, there's nothing coming out, which is actually what we want right now. But the second you go over to the radiator cap and release that pressure, it will come out faster than you are prepared for. So my technique is to do this. Once you're ready with the pan, tilt the pan up like this. Okay, now we're covering that entire area of where it can go, and then release the pressure on the radiator cap. See that? Now it's coming out like crazy, and you may make a little bit of a mess. It's going to spill out anywhere it can, but if you have this pan up like this, it's going to help prevent that mess. So, knowing that information, that Honda switched from the green coolant to the blue coolant, that is a great way to know how old your coolant is. 3 years ago they changed that. Okay, they are compatible. If you add blue to the green, it's not going to matter. It's going to make a pretty brown color. But there's not a single manual that Honda gives us that says that the coolant change is outside of a 3-year period. That means if yours is green, switch to blue. Alright, so it's got slow drips, which I'm not too worried about. So we're going to go ahead and install our bolt with our sealing washer. Alright, I'm going to move this pin out of the way, and we will snug this back up. Now, once it's on there flush, just give it one small quarter turn, that's all you need. That crush washer will do the rest of the work. Don't over tighten that, you don't want to strip that out. Use my rag and dry up this mess here, and we will proceed to filling. One thing I do want to mention, on some bikes, the reservoir is easily located. You can just grab right onto the cap and pull it off. If you do have that kind of system, you can just use a turkey baster with a hose on it and just suck out whatever coolant is in there if you want to do complete fluid change. Alright, when it comes to flushing the entire system out completely, one great trick to do is to grab 2 gallons of distilled water, fill the system up, run it for about a minute or 2, shut it right back off again, and flush that out maybe 2 or 3 times until you get that clear distilled water liquid. Again, you don't want to heat the bike up too much, but just enough to get some coolant running through the entire system to flush it all out completely, so that when you put that new coolant in, you know it's 100% fresh coolant. If there's a little bit in there, they don't hold a lot, and it's okay to mix the coolant that you have. I don't necessarily always do it, because on some of them, it's a lot more difficult to get to. This hose goes all the way, travels down towards the reservoir. So it's got a little bit of coolant in there. When it mixes in, it's going to be fine. But if you have one that's accessible, you can go ahead and just suck that stuff out and then refill it like you would with the radiator. So I use a small funnel. The goal is to just pour in the coolant that you have very slowly. One tip that I like to do is I have a flashlight here in my hand. Usually you're using 2 hands to fill it anyways. And you can point the flashlight down the funnel and into the neck. So when you're filling it, you can see where it's coming up to the top, so you're not overflowing it all over your exhaust. Okay? So if you have one, use a quick flashlight and just hold it inside the funnel, and then still you can pour your coolant down past it. Once it fills up to the top, you may notice air bubbles coming up. That's fine. That's what it should be doing. The goal is to just bleed that system of air. How you do that is just put the radiator cap back on the bike. Start the bike, you can rev the motor up a little bit, a couple quick blips of the throttle, shut it off, take the radiator cap off, and you'll notice that the level has dropped. Just keep filling it and repeat this process maybe 5 times until you're confident that when you pull the radiator cap off, the fluid's still at the same level. When you're done, you can check the holding bottle and make sure that that is topped off somewhere between the upper and lower level line. After you've fully completed filling the radiator and the whole cooling system of coolant, you've checked your radiator overflow, and that's up to snuff. What you can do is then run the bike for however long it takes for the radiator fan to come on. What you're making sure is that that whole cooling system is working properly. Okay, once the fan comes on, you know that the sensors are working for the cooling fan, you know that the cooling fan's not stuck. You can spin it with your finger before you begin to make sure that there is nothing that's kind of grinding it up. But once the fan comes on, the cooling system is all working perfectly. You have transferred fluid from the thermostat all the way down to the system. That's it. Thank you guys so much for hanging around to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new. Be sure to hit the like button if you actually did enjoy it. Leave me a comment below with something maybe you learned or something that you'd like to see in the future. I'm open to all ideas, and I can't wait to serve you guys more with more valuable videos. Be sure to grab your troubleshooting cheat sheet right here in the card that will assist you when it comes to troubleshooting different systems on your bike. It's free and it's totally for you. Be sure to check me out on Instagram and Facebook, where I post weekly tons of cool videos, cool ideas, cool tips, and cool knowledge that I don't necessarily post on YouTube. Join the email subscriber list where you have direct connection to me. I hope you guys are having a safe riding season. I hope your bike is working phenomenally like it should, because it's a Honda. This is Cody from Motorcycle MD, bringing you guys quality tips and tricks for your next build or your daily rider. See you guys next time.